anything new out there? Anything newer out there? I mean, there's segments of the manufacturing, but is there anything from pellet to ship and wrap? It's priceless information. It's the same stuff, just different era. I love in the video where the fellow is taking a 5.5-inch floppy disk and putting it into one of the machines.
They still
And
use them.
what's that?
They still use them.
Well, hey, and you know what?
Because those machines
My daughter, who is
are
my daughter, who is my computer geek, says they'll never hack that computer. All right, our next speaker is Lou Migliore. And Lou is going to be speaking about professional inspection compared to unprofessional inspection. Right, Lou? Where'd Lou go? There's Lou. Hey, Lou, why don't you come on up?
Okay, thank you very much for having me here. Fortunately, I'm standing on a stage, so you're going to just see a little head walking back and forth. As Mark said, I have been in the industry going on 54 years. It'll be 54 years in March. I started in retail and then got into the cleaning industry, where I met Ed York, the Society of Cleaning Technicians. I had that business for about 18 years. We started the inspection business in conjunction with that. We also had a disaster restoration business. So we've been through the whole gamut. And now we strictly focus on, as I mentioned, big commercial stuff. Our client base is commercial flooring contractors, general contractors, construction attorneys, and major end users. Tomorrow I will be in Virginia looking at something for Kaiser Permanente. And we don't consider ourselves inspectors. I don't mean to diminish that, but we are consultants, troubleshooters, because we work in a different galaxy. And we deal with some hellaciously large issues up well into multi-million-dollar issues. We've got one right now that we're working on that's over $22 million. Nothing wrong with the flooring, it's a component. But anyway, so.
Push the down arrow.
Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to talk about professional claims inspectors. I'm going to touch on some things that are general information and general knowledge, and also some stuff that goes back to many years ago when I developed some stuff that I'm going to share with you. And then we're going to look at some pictures of actually some situations that we've been involved in and how unique they are. Okay, so I know there was mention earlier about the market share. We keep statistics in-house. My assistant, Anita Drennan, Ashley was head of claims, credit, and tech services for Dirk and Battered Carpet for 17 years. So Anita, when people call and they say they want to talk to you, I says, you know more than I do about this stuff. So, but anyway. So here is the dollar volume and the square feet, and you will see that hard surface, which is all of this, is the largest single category. Rugs and carpet. And over here you have billions of square feet, carpet and rugs, which is about 44%. So we're going down. And I'm going to touch on this because it was something you mentioned earlier that I want to address. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you want. And you can have this presentation because there's nothing proprietary here. So that's a breakdown of the industry. Commercial versus residential, we work in this category here strictly. We do a lot of work for retailers, particularly Carpet One and Flooring America, because we have a relationship with them for years. And occasionally we get a call from a consumer and they will eat up your time more than you will eat up your time for a $20 million claim. But we don't say no to anybody. So that's our policy. People need help, we help them. Whether we make money or not, doesn't make any difference. Okay, so the residential market is the majority of the market with all categories. Commercial, specified and Main Street. You know what the difference between specified and Main Street is? The Main Street commercial market is the retailer who sells commercial flooring to local retail establishments. Attorneys' offices, dentists, doctors, retail stores. Specified is when you get into the big leagues where you're dealing with an architect, general contractor, where the products that are going to be used in that application have been specified for use by the architect, whether he knows what he's talking about or not.
The importance of understanding subfloors and substrates is a prerequisite for inspector, but it should be also something involved in restoration, because I couldn't tell you how many times I am asked to follow a restoration company after they finish their restoration and they have a problem with the flooring, or if any of you know about Contractor Connection, which is a Crawford company. I'm one of the guys in South Florida that does their resolutions, conflict resolutions, where the consumer says this, the restoration contractor says that, and they got to get a third party in to show who's correct or who's incorrect. And typically, I'm called in because they want to use me as a collection agency, which I won't do, but because usually somebody's holding up money because they got a problem. Understanding the basic difference is subfloor. A subfloor is what's underneath. I'm sorry. A subfloor is the subfloor is the framing that holds up the substrate. If you have a wood frame flooring system, first floor, fifth floor, doesn't matter, and then you put a sheet of plywood on top of that, the framing is the subfloor and the plywood is the substrate. Basically, the substrate is what you install the flooring product on. Installation or cleaning and understanding what's underneath is as important as what you are about to work with and work on, especially when working with a moisture-sensitive floor covering. Incorrect installation or cleaning methods can have a negative effect on your workmanship, as the question that's been asked many times: was the improper installation the cause of floor covering failure, or was it the cleaning process? And that's mostly related to a stretching over separate cushion carpet installation, where they use the wrong tack strip. They don't use 3-row pin, they only use 2-row pin. Tack strip might be half an inch wide versus 1.5 inches. And there's no gully, it's too far from the wall, and they didn't power stretch. They used perhaps just a kicker, or sometimes, we used to say years ago, they would wear spiked golf shoes and do a running jump, which was the power stretch.
I always tell people, you have to have a license to do fingernails and hair. But as a building service contractor, you can walk into a building or into a supply shop, get a bottle of ammonia, get a bottle of bleach, and have a lot of fun trying to kill people in a building. Exactly. It will evolve our industry. Hopefully we can get to where Japan is, where that it's looked as not as the lower paying occupation, but it is actually somebody that makes an impact on society.
I think that there is a big disconnect in janitorial as putting us into specialty. You know, it's not a problem until it's a problem, and then they got to go learn about it. So, I mean, I've been with ICE and done the training at what we can to those levels, and then it becomes, oh, we're just business. We'll just do the ethical classes and how to run our companies into big janitorial companies instead of how to actually run a vacuum at the right pace and what it's doing. So, I thank you for the time to speak with you today.
Well, I think Bill said it when it comes to janitorial. We don't have the time to go in this classroom and make it better. I deal with that at some of the schools I deal with. I try to help them with their carpet, and they're like, they don't pay us enough, and I got to do this whole wing by myself. Yeah. One person would have to do from that wall to those doors out there by themselves. You got another person doing another part of the school. So you got 3 janitors in a big high school. And they want the floors all done, spick and span, during the summer. And no matter what I say to them, that's great, but they're not gonna help us, and they're not gonna provide us with any more training, and they don't wanna spend the money on that. So it goes by the by, and then they complain about, well, how come these carpet modules are all jacked up? Because no one cleans them until school's out, once a year. So,
Can I speak to that real quick?
It's a matter of compensation. You get what you pay for. And if folks are not willing to pay what it takes to retain employees, they will not retain the employees. They will go down the road, they will find a job working at Buc-ee's, or find a job working at IHOP. Less stress, less pressure, more money, whatever the case may be. Better hours, more conducive to their, I don't have to start work at 7 o'clock at night and work till 7 o'clock in the morning. Things like that.
The work that we do is important. It's just like during the pandemic. It's not important until it's a disaster. When it's a disaster, then it's like, I mean, we were all valued during the pandemic. Now that the pandemic is over, people have gone right back to where they were, where it's not important to clean it because, oh, I can't get sick if I don't clean it. During the pandemic, you could say anything. Hey, you gotta do, oh, you know what? We were worshiped during the pandemic. Now, it's back to the way that it was.
January of 2020, there was a magazine, New Yorker magazine. The cover of the magazine was Grand Central Station, and this was just an illustration, right? Grand Central Station in New York City, and it was completely empty, except for a guy with a broom and a dustpan, and there was a ray of light just shining on him, okay? The essential workers are essential. They can't go anywhere, right? When I was working in restaurants, everybody's gotta eat, you gotta feed somebody. Everybody makes messes, you gotta clean it up, right? And this industry needs more people like this.
Any other questions for the panel?
We wore them out.
Yeah, I think we did.
This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.